be a good chapter. But at the end of the day, it was actually quite easy to write this book. I hope you like it.
Give it up for Lee, your headliner, ladies and gentlemen. Lee is here.
I have my book.
Welcome to the Comedy Hut. Let's go.
Can't wait. Nothing like a Thursday night with Kathy Griffin, am I right?
I've heard that. It's very satisfying.
All right, let's talk about this book.
Okay.
And how many stories you must have about all of our very favorite celebrities.
Kathy Griffin's Celebrity Run-Ins, an A to Z index. That's right, I actually put them in alphabetical order. And although I struggled with X, so I had to go with, I kind of fudged it. I put Christina Aguilera, who hated me when she was dirty, but now that she's a mom, she's kind of come around. And the other one was XXX star Ron Jeremy, who came to my house for Thanksgiving, swear to God, brought the guy from Cat House, that guy Dennis Hoff. My dad was still alive. My dad's carving the turkey. And there's Ron with, and by the way, I've never seen one of Ron's movies. I swear to God I haven't. I just know him because he's like a comedy file. And so my dad's carving the turkey. And he goes, Ron, what do you do? And I swear to God. And Ron Jeremy goes, I do films. And then my dad, who was so sweet, my dad's like, oh, that's a very competitive industry. Good for you. And Ron goes, well, thank you, Mr. Griffin. That's very nice. I've actually done over 2,000 films. And my dad's like carving this, like, really? I mean, that is quite a body of work. And then my dad said, you know, might I seen one? And I just said, let's go get cranberry sauce. And I swear, till the day my father passed away, he thought Ron Jeremy was like a key grip or something, or somehow did 2,000 films.
Yeah, clearly a body of work.
It certainly, if nothing else, he does have a body of work.
Well, who starts the book off? Where do you start from with A?
Woody Allen.
Yeah,
Okay.
I read the Woody Allen one.
This is a jaw dropper.
Yeah.
Right? Because like some are funny, some are weird, some are things I've just never told because they're really only appropriate for a book. But the Woody Allen one is a freaking jaw dropper. So get this shit, you guys. So I'm at a small dinner party, like 12 people, right? And I'm seated next to Woody Allen, and I'm uncomfortable because I think he's guilty. And so, you know, I'm allowed to think that. All right, so he sits next to me, and he opened with a funny line because I have to say I don't mind. I love a dark sense of humor, and you know he's got legit indiscretions, but he's also a legit genius, right? So he comes in with the wife, and he goes, "I'm Woody, and this is my child bride." Oh, hold on, it gets way weirder. Okay, so I was like, oh, that's sort of like, all right, he has some like awareness of that. So I'm next to him, and then he's like very frail and very sort of feeble, and I'm asking him about his movies because I don't know what to talk to him about. And so I'm asking him like about Liev Schreiber because I know they're friends, and he's like, oh, I've never seen Ray Donovan. I was like, oh, that's weird. So I'm thinking, what do I talk to him about? So I'm asking him about directing all these amazing comedians in his films, and he's kind of like, oh, my casting director, Julia Taylor, kind of takes all of that. She takes care of all that. I'm like, okay. So then I start teasing him, and I go, it sounds like you don't really direct, Woody. It sounds like you just kind of sit around and read the newspaper. And he's like not laughing at one thing I say and isn't having my crap. And then I said, well, I want to, you know, talk to me about some of the greats. I said, you know, you've worked with the great Kevin Spacey. And he's like, oh yeah, I've never seen House of Cards. And I go, what, you know, you don't watch anything? And so then I started to really just try to make it fun for myself because I could tell he found me annoying. And I go, well, Woody, you probably want to hear all about my new Miley Cyrus gossip. Swear to God, he goes, I've never missed Hannah Montana. Okay, that is not a story for my act because it's so, I don't even know what that is. It's creepy, but weird, but funny. And I'm like, Hannah Montana, the show where she's Hannah by day and a rocker by night? He's like, yeah. And I go, what do you mean you've never missed? He's like, I don't know, that girl, she just had something. And I go, yeah, she was 8. I did. I was like, and then he goes, it's kind of sad what's happened to her. And I go, I love the new Slutty Miley. What's your problem? And he then, by the way, he then went to cast her in an Amazon show, which you may know. And then I swear to God, he said, I said something like, well, you know, celebrities, you've met them all, Woody. And he said, and now I have to watch my friend Bill Cosby get railroaded. Oh, my. Not funny, but perfect for a book. That's what I'm saying. The book is mostly funny, but that story in particular, I couldn't leave it out. I mean, it was just insane that he said that to me.
Yeah, and that one starts it off. Guys, you flip through this book, it's insane. Kathy has met almost everybody. Are you going to do a book on tape for this? Because I love when you tell the stories more.
Thank you, because, okay, so I am so dyslexic, and I'm just a horrible reader and stuff. And so when I went to do the book on tape, I'm going to be honest, about halfway through, I got bored and just started riffing. And I did that with my last book, and I got like a lot of compliments. A lot of people were like, "Oh, I bought the book," and then I bought the book on tape for like if they go, hiking or something. And they're like, "It's like not the same book." I go, "Yeah, I usually get kind of bored and just start telling like other stories." So, yeah. So I even said to the engineer, I said, "Look, I'll be honest. If you're gonna stop me for every like comma or thing I change, we'll be here for weeks." And she was really great. She was like, "Fine, say whatever you want." So the book on tape is it's kind of the book. It's pretty much the book.
Yes. But better.
Well, it's a little, it has improvisational moments, but as this evening will.
Yes. And of course, how did you even sit down and go, I think I need to compile all my stories into this book? When was the moment? Because you mentioned the moment you decided to write the book.
It's really true. So I feel like anything that's true is on the table. Because I get asked all the time, like, do you ever draw the line? Or when is it too far? And I was like, well, I'm always too far. But I do feel legitimately if it's something is true, it's kind of fair game. And also I feel like if it's my own experience, and it's like, it's my experience. Come on, it's not like a joke somebody else is writing, right? So this is really how the book started. All right, so, and you can have whatever reaction you want to, because last time I checked, this was America. Although not so much in the last 9 days. All right, it's changed. So we're now the Gulag Archipelago. Just get used to it. So anyway, literally, I was here in New York, ramping up to do New Year's Eve last year with Anderson Cooper, and we're going to do it again this year, so I hope you watch. And I've got a lot of fun things in store for him that I don't think he needs to know about right now.
As long as you spray tan him again.
I spray tanned him within an inch of his life last year, live on the air. And I put this in the book, but I'll give you the spoiler. So I spray tan him with like the darkest J-Lo Dancing with the Stars spray tan in the world. And then during the commercial break, I just said, because I really do love him, I go, "Are you pissed? You can tell me." And then he goes, no, it's all right, but you really got me." And I go, "But really, like, are you mad?" Because he's referred to his face many times as the moneymaker, which I believe is a Ron Jeremy term, because he's my friend. And so anyway, I said, "Anderson, it's killing me. I'm so curious. What did you think I was doing when you felt aerosol on your face? And it's me." And he goes, "I thought you were hydrating my skin with Evian Spritzer." That's in the book. And I just, I didn't tell him yet, but he'll read it next week. So
You have so many good Anderson stories.
I have many, and people, wherever I go, they want to hear about Anderson Cooper. And luckily, I have a lot of dirt that I'm happy to share. And so the way I came up with the idea truly was, so last, like between Christmas and New Year's, I'm at the Trump International. Okay, boo, give me your wrath. I deserve it. But I stayed there because it's right next to CNN, right? So anyway, I'm there, and I was watching the movie. I love to watch movies in hotel rooms because I can't go to theaters with the people talking and taking phone calls and shit, so I watch them in hotels. I know that's corny. So anyway, I'm there with my boyfriend who's 18 years younger than me. Don't start.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. I'm a horror role model. Learn from me. Learn from me. All right, so do as I do, not as I say. Anyway, so I was there with my boyfriend, and we were watching Straight Outta Compton. So here's what's funny. So because he's younger, I turned to him and I said, this is like weird for me because it's a great movie. I love the movie. But I go, I don't know if you know this, but I actually know or have worked with 4 of the people portrayed in this movie. And he said, who? And I said, I worked on a sketch show one time with Tupac Shakur. And I said, I followed him around all day with Ice-T because I didn't think Tupac could read, and Ice-T kept reading for him, and I was fascinated by that. And I thought, can you be that famous and be dyslexic or illiterate? How does this work? So I followed around Tupac all day. And then he and Ice-T on the sketch show saying, "You don't bring me flowers," and you can YouTube that shit. So that's just funny. All right, then I made out with Snoop Dogg one time when I was hosting the Billboard Music Awards. I know Dr. Dre because he cast me in the Real Slim Shady video with Eminem, who wants to be called Marshall. And then the best one, which is in the book also, is one night I went to, you know who Cat Williams is, the comic? He's a black guy, really short, really outrageous. He's always in trouble. So I love him because I love a troublemaker. So one night I go to Cat Williams' house, and he was staying in Malibu. And once again, I have to bring up the boyfriend again. Sorry, but we go over there. And Cat's got like Lambos in the front and Porsche Pan Ams and all this stuff. And he's got 2 Mastiffs in cages. I'm not kidding, giant Mastiffs in cages. And I said, because I love to start shit, obviously. So we get out of the car and I go, hey, everybody, this is my boyfriend, Whitey. And so Cat's calling my boyfriend Whitey. And then my boyfriend says to me, that guy over there looks like Suge Knight.
Suge Knight?
It is. It was Suge Knight. So I am trying to make Cat laugh, and this is my problem in life. I never know when to shut up, obviously. So I start saying to Suge, you know what, Suge, when's the last time you just spooned with a lady? And he goes, normally I like pussy. And I go, I know, but what if just one time we just cuddled and I was the little spoon? And so Cat's laughing, and then I take Suge Knight, I put his arms around me, and I'm like, come on now, don't kill me. Stop it, you old so-and-so, let's just talk. And he's like, what do I want to talk for when I like pussy? I go, I know, but we should cuddle sometimes. And then it just like reached that moment where I was like, and the bit's over. And then I swear, I like walked to my car thinking anything could happen. But it was, I just think Suge is misunderstood. I'm sure those manslaughter charges were just a misunderstanding.
And then you were just...
Because right now he's on a staycation.
Yeah, the staycation.
Yeah.
And you were like, you know what, I'm just going to put all of this in a book.
I did not ever think I would spoon with Suge Knight.
That's a story for
I know,
ages.
and I watched that whole Lifetime Michelet movie, so I got my own story with that crowd.
Well, we definitely have to move on to Jeremy Irons because she saw a picture
That's right.
back there, backstage of him, and said she has quite the story.
All right, so my request is, for the younger kids, here's an actual beautiful photo of Jeremy Irons. So here's Jeremy Irons, in case you don't know who he is. And what is he on? Like, I know him from, like, the French Lieutenant's Woman, but what do you guys know him from? Oh, he's in a cartoon. What's Scar, right? Isn't he Scar in a big cartoon?
Yeah,
Okay.
he's Scar in Lion King.
Right, okay.
That's what we know him from,
Right?
millennials.
See?
Woo!
Okay, so he's a big... All right, so there's Jeremy Irons. So one time I was in London, and I was there with my pal, the dear departed Joan Rivers, because, get this shit, Joan calls me up one day, and by the way, she gave me these blue shoes, and I just thought, I actually have a dress that matches, so I have to have a little of Joan with me wherever I go. So anyway, this is all real, I swear to God. So she calls and she goes, she was really good friends with Chuck and Camilla, like really good friends. And she kept that part of her life secret for some reason, but there were many wonderful sides to her. And so she goes, I'm invited to Windsor Castle in Buckingham for a weekend with the royals. Do you want to go? I'm like, fuck yeah. So I freaking spent 2 nights with Joan Rivers at Windsor Castle and Buckingham Palace. And that in itself was crazy because we got like adjoining rooms and we got like dressed together like a couple teenagers.
You have wild royal stories?
Yes, I do.
Oh my God.
So first of all, remember when Chuck got caught because he wrote Camilla a letter and he said he wanted to be her tampon? You can look it up. Okay, you stiffs are boring because
No one remembers.
I think that's the highest compliment a pretty lady can get is when a gentleman wants to be her tampon. And so I admit when I met him, I didn't say it, but like I was looking at him thinking like, you fucking said you want to be her tampon. And I'm looking at Camilla like, were you? And so I never had the balls to answer. But anyway, so that was just like a really crazy couple of days. Oh, I'm going to tell you something else. Are you guys newsy or more entertainment? Both? All right, if you're newsy, get this shit. You know Illinois Congressman Aaron Schock, who just got indicted on like 27 fraud charges? He was fucking at my table with a dude. All I'm saying is, that's how he got the money. Like, why was a freshman congressman at the Royals with me and Joan Rivers? And the entertainment was Barry Manilow. So we're sitting there at Buckingham Palace, and they go, ladies and gentlemen, Barry. I'm like, Bear? And so Barry comes out with the full, Barry, I just call him Liberace now. I'm like, hi, Lee, how's Scott Thorson? Because, he's got the feathered hair and the whole thing, and I love him, and, So anyway, so that's one story, a freaking crazy weekend with Joan Rivers and the Royals. But wait, what was the first one you were asking me? I actually forgot.
Oh, Jeremy Irons.
Okay, so the night before... I was at a fancy restaurant because Joan would just tell me where to go and I would just do whatever she said, right? So she'd be like, oh, go here, it's tip 80%. I'd be like, fine, whatever. So anyway, I see Jeremy Irons there, and I didn't want to approach him because I was like, I don't know, the Brits are different or something. So I went outside, and I was with a dude, platonic friend of mine. So Jeremy Irons comes out for a cigarette break, and I wanted a picture with him. So I said, okay, let's take selfies of each other. And there was also like the dressed up like British doorman dude. So I said, let's take pictures. And then sure enough, Jeremy Irons volunteers. He's like, oh, do you want me to take one? And I was like, oh, thank you, sir. And then I was like, well, you might as well get in one. So he gets in, and then we're in a picture together. So then I finally confess, and I turned to him and I said, look, I'm acting like I don't know who you are, but I'm a giant fan, and I'm a comedian from the States, and I just think your work is so great. And he says, of course, I know who you are. Don't be ridiculous. And I'm feeling very, very famous. And then I said, well, thank you. This has been a really nice moment. And he says, you're welcome, Jackie. I don't even think there's a Jackie he thought I was. He just made up a name, because normally people say, hello, Reba.
I was thinking,
I'm used to that.
I was like, what Jackie looks like? Kathy.
You're welcome, Jackie. Oh, I just felt like we were besties.
All right, well.
By the way, he's going to be someone who's going to get this book and be like, who the fuck is this bitch? And I don't remember anything about that night.
Because you guys know, Kathy has not told anyone who's in this book that they're in this book. So they aren't finding out.
You know more than they do at this point.
They aren't finding out till Thanksgiving dinner.
Although, the one person who did ask, because everyone loves a Cher story, so let's not act like you don't want to hear a little Cher. Okay, so Cher is the only one who's like, I heard you're writing a book, bitch. I go, yeah, and I told her the story and the premise, and she's like, oh, fuck, what'd you write about me? I don't want to know. I do. Don't tell me. Am I going to cry? Am I going to be pissed, bitch? I go, all right, girl, calm down. I said, it's such a love letter. You owe me a muffin basket. Well, we'll see about that. I'm fucking Cher. Yeah. That's it. She hasn't read it yet. I haven't sent it to her yet. And I said, you're not getting one. I go, you got to buy one. All right, honey? You cheap bitch. I said, yeah, that's right. Call me any name in the book, but you're paying for it.
Oh, you're going to see a spike in sales like Thursday, Friday next week with all the celebrities, Black Friday.
Hopefully. They're all nervous as hell.
Well, there's another love letter in there to your good pal Renee Zellweger, which you have a little bit of a past with. So
I'm going to go with history. I'll use history. All right, so one of the things that I actually did like about writing the book was like at 56 years old, being a chick comic, I've just been fucking through it all. Like the sexism, the ageism, I've heard it all. I've dished it out. I've taken it, blah, blah, blah. But one thing that's like kind of nice that sometimes happens is after all these years, sometimes some of the stars that really loathed me at the beginning of my career, like finally have come around and go like, oh, she's like not really, she's just joking around, So Zellweger, I was doing some gig, like even before the D-list, and somebody from People magazine said something like, we're gonna give you rapid fire celebrity names and tell me what you think. And I don't know why, but they go, Renee Zellweger, and I go, Sweaty Puffy Kokor. And I didn't realize People magazine is read by a lot of people. And so then the next week, and this was on my Life on the D-list, so the next week I get this giant bouquet of flowers from Renee Zellweger, who right away I'm like, how does she know where I live? But anyway, it says best wishes. And I learned that that's Southern for fuck you, which is fair, because, if I'm going to say. So anyway, just years go by, and I think about 2 years ago, I get called once again to host a charity gig, because the way I know most of these A-listers is they all hate me for obvious reasons, but guess who they call when they need someone to host their charity gig for free? Everybody needs a comic when you've got a free charity gig. And so that's how I really met a lot of these people. And so I was doing this, a gig for this charity called The Painted Turtle, and Jack Nicholson and Danny DeVito were hosting, and who doesn't want to spend the day with those two? So then Nicholson couldn't make it, so they said, can you co-host? And I was like, hell yeah. So I got to co-host the whole thing with Danny DeVito. And then they said, and so you're going to share a dressing room with Amber Riley, Annette Bening, and Renee Zellweger. And I was like, what was that last name? And sure enough, it was just one of those things where I thought, okay, I said something heinous about her. She has taken such a beat down about the famous picture of her face and what's happened to her face and all that stuff. I truly didn't know what to expect. So I'm going to be honest, because I always am. I walked in the dressing room, and I'm this close to Zellweger, and you guys, she is gorgeous. And the weird thing is, it doesn't even like look like she's had work done. So I admit I was expecting to see like, she's gonna look so different. And I didn't want to say it like, boy, you've been taking a beat down. Like, I don't want to remind her, but I just want to like sort of vouch for that. And so anyway, I just said something like, so are you gonna send me any more flowers? And she just laughed, and like it was over. Like we just then got along, and now we text and talk on the phone sometimes. And I just love that like, if you fucking do this long enough, sometimes people finally go, oh, she didn't really cause me any damage. She was just making a fucking joke,
Some of them must think it's funny. I mean, especially when you call them out. I mean, guys, when I'm famous one day, if Kathy Griffin doesn't call me out, I haven't made it.
Okay, good. That's what I want you to think. Okay, so I have a, I can't remember if this story's in the book. I'll just tell you anyway. This is like the audiobook. I'm not quite sure. I guess I should buy it. All right, so, okay, so that's how I feel too. Like I grew up, of course, on Joan Rivers and Don Rickles and Mom's Maybelline, Toady Fields, and all the the classics and stuff, Phyllis Diller. And I agree. I feel like when you have a comic like that and they acknowledge you, it's literally an honor. So the first time I got to meet the great Don Rickles, I was on Suddenly Susan in the '90s, and so Brooke Shields was married to Andre Agassi, and we all went to Vegas on Agassi's jet. And he's, by the way, a fucking douchebag. Like he is the worst with the fucking mullet, and he thinks he's Christian, so he told me one time not to swear around him. I was like, excuse me, you're like, he came to the set. I'm like, fuck you, it's my job. But anyway, he was just an asshole. And I like Brooke, and I just thought he kind of fucked her over. So anyway, that night, Rickles did the classic, we're all in like an old fashioned, like the bank, right? And so Rickles has known Brooke Shields since she was 12 or whatever, right? So he's kind of teasing her, and she's laughing. And then he starts teasing Agassi, and he's just steel-faced like this. And he's really getting pissed. And I can see Brooke doing the like, oh, honey. And he just wasn't having it. And I remember we then got to go to Don Rickles' dressing room and like hang with him. And it was the entire cast of Suddenly Susan, which by the way included Nestor Carbonell, who's like famous now. He was on Lost and shit. Okay, so anyway, Agassi was in the Rickles dressing room. I just talked to Rickles about this 2 weeks ago. And I was like, remember that? Like we're in this teeny dressing room and you and Brooke are talking and I'm just like watching like, Don Rickles in person. And Agassi's like, can we go? So then, like, maybe a couple years after he and Brooke get divorced, I'm watching 60 Minutes, and Katie Couric is interviewing Agassi about his book called Closer, where he talks about the whole time he was with Brooke Shields and playing in the US Open in Wimbledon, he was on meth. Meth, not just a little pot. Fucking meth. Like, I've never even heard of a tennis world champion being like, oh, I'm gonna do some meth, like I'm on Grindr. And so, which, who knows. But anyway, I remember thinking that's why he was so twitchy and cranky. So I don't know. Maybe he didn't appreciate Rickles' jokes because he was tweaking. I'm not sure. Meth. That's like the fucking serious one, right?
Very serious.
It's very Leif Garrett of him.
And I also saw you on John Oliver this week
Yes,
with the
I love
Fuck
him.
2016
That's right.
segment.
That's right.
How did that come about?
I love him. I love that show, man. If I could have any show in the world, I think that show and Samantha Bee are like the shit. I think they're so good. And no, what happened was I was on John's, I think, first or second episode. And I happened to be in the city once again, and they called me to do like a little part. He was making fun of a beauty pageant, and he let me play like, I think, the host of the pageant or something. And so then for this thing, we could all agree it's been a challenging year for those of us on the left. And so then he wanted to do a big fuck you 2016. So I can't remember if I did it on an iPhone or like they came to my house, but I think I just had to say fuck 2016, which I cannot say on CNN. I can say dang 2016.
And of course, before you guys do not buy, you have to buy this book because there's a Trump story in here.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah.
Do you guys know who's in the book or not? Oh shit, so you don't really know who to ask about. All right, here's what we're gonna do. I'll give you the Trump story, and then I'm gonna like rapid fire read a list, and if you're inspired by any of the names, I'll just tell you, and I'll try to bring up names I haven't talked about yet. Okay, so here's the Trump story, get this shit. So this is a story that like only happened to me. So in this book, you're gonna hear things that you just honestly can't hear from anybody else. So sure, I could do jokes about his hair and all that, the nest, but here's what happened. So I spent the day with the Donald, and he wants you to call him the Donald. Well, of course, now we have to call him something else. Not there yet, but I will get there. Okay, so anyway, and I spent the day with Donald Trump and Liza Minnelli.
What a pair.
Exactly. So the Donald talked me into, of course, hosting a charity event, and it was one of his golf courses. I think it's called Briarcliff. It's like in New York or Connecticut or something. And so I was hosting, and Liza was the performer. And so I get there, and I see Liza on a golf course with the Donald, and and I love me some Liza. Like, she can do no wrong. I'm a gay man. I've known since I was 4, and I just was like looking at the two of them. I'm thinking, what the hell is the Donald saying to my Liza? So I go out there, and the Donald says, "Get in the back of the cart." So I'm thinking, I don't want to do it, but I'll do anything with Liza. So I was like, we'd love to. So we both get into the back of his golf cart. He's driving it all over, and he's in khakis, right? So his gunt is hanging over. And that's a bad word. I don't use that word, kids. And his moobs are down to here. And yet, he didn't have the suit on, and he's driving fast, and Liza's going, honey, I'm getting the spins. Make him stop, I'm getting the spins. And I'm like yelling at him, going, slow down the Donald. The Liza's getting sick. The Liza has to sing the New York, New York. And at one point he kept saying, if you gals ever want to come back here on me as my guest. So I say to Liza, I go, Liza, I think he thinks we're, like Oprah and Gail. And so, and she's like, oh, honey, what are you talking about? So then I say to the Donald, I go, well, Liza and I have been together for years as a loving couple, and we'd love to come back and share a bungalow. And she's like, honey, stop it. I can't take it. That's too much. And then the funny part was he did not hear or listen to one single thing. Like, I just started saying crazy things to see if he was even listening, and he wasn't. In the meantime, I'm there trying to be Liza's friend, and I'm whipping her into a lather, which is like the worst thing I could have done. And the whole time she's in and there's pictures of this online, a cashmere sequin Halston jumpsuit.
Oh my God.
On a golf course in the middle of the day with the president-elect.
That's why she's the Liza.
Get the book.
Oh my God.
Get the book. Just really for that alone.
She just said president-elect. I'm like,
What about Omarosa saying they're making a list? I don't want to go to jail for being a comic. I'm going to be in front of the tank, like the Tiananmen Square guy, protecting dick jokes coming out of women's mouths for all eternity. I don't want to go to that gulag he might be building with Omarosa. Scared.
That's all I can say to all of this. Everyone wanted to join me?
Oh, well, every time I read the news, I feel like I'm reading The Onion. Like, it takes me a minute to go, oh, wait, this actually isn't The Onion.
Well, let's get to that other list of nice names
good.
so we
That's
can.
a good idea. All right, so
You
I'm
guys
going to
know who's in the book. So Kathy will read out some of the names.
All right, so I'm going to pick some names because truly, like, one of my goals was to have people from all walks of life, not just, Kardashians. All right, so J.J. Abrams. No? You guys are tough. So he's a director. He does big films. And so JJ was my Groundling student. So my day job used to be, I was a teacher at the Groundlings, which is a comedy improv group like Second City. So JJ was my student, and his day job at the time was he was the mail girl. And so, he worked for his dad, had a production company named Phoenix. And so he would literally answer the phones all day. And so I would like prank call him all the time, and I would act like I was some big like Hollywood executive or whatever. And then finally he'd be like, Kathy. But to this day, there's a guy named, I think his name is John Feldheimer, and I think he's like the head of, I don't even know what, some big studio or something. And so he goes by the Felt. That's like his nickname. So I used to call JJ all the time and go, Junior Jarrett's the Felt. And so to this day, just so you know, even when JJ is like doing Star Trek or whatever he's doing, Wars, one of those ridiculous movies, I said, why don't you go to Lifetime where they make real movies? But anyway, he doesn't listen to me. Nobody listens to me.
Call up Ron Jeremy, and that's where they make the real movies.
That is 2,000 films. Is impressive. Cal Penn from Harold and Kumar. Okay, so get this shit. So I have 2 dogs, right? And they're both, I call them special needs because they can't do anything. They fart and shit, and that's all they do. But they're very loving, and I love them. So anyway, I'm on the road, because I'm on the road all the time, right? So I find out one of the dogs has gone missing. So I talk to my assistant, and I'm like, oh no, what am I going to do? And it's Larry, who's my even dopier dog than Pom Pom, who's more of a psycho ninja killer. And so Larry somehow found his way to fucking Cal Penn's house. And the way I know that is that Cal Penn all of a sudden called the phone number on Larry's collar, and my assistant then, Tiffany, was like, the guy from Harold and Kumar has Larry the dog? And I'm like, what? So she went over to his house, and I said, well, you got to get a picture of Cal Penn, like with Dopey Larry. So we took a picture, And then Cal Penn posted it, because I posted like, thank you at Cal Penn, you rescued Larry. And then he posted it and he wrote, wow, it's amazing the amount of Twitter love you get when you save Kathy Griffin's dog. And the thing I just thought was funny, and I've never even met him in person yet, but just as a funny side note, I don't know why, he actually had Larry for like at least 8 hours. So I don't know if he was like taking pictures for Tinder, like to get chicks, like, hey, I got a dog and I'm sensitive. But I've never been like, hey, how was your day with Larry, my dog? It was a pretty long day. All right, Macklemore, you've heard of him. Yeah. All right, get this. Okay, so 2 years ago, no, maybe last year, I can't remember, doing New Year's with Anderson, and then it's so, as they say, low res, right? So it's just Anderson and I are just on the riser, and if you guys are New Yorkers, you know there's not one New Yorker in Times Square. It's all Asians. Okay, so... And they're in pens like veal. I don't know how those people do it. They're saints. I hope they have colostomy bags. I don't even know. They line up all day. Diaper, sign me up. And so anyway, it's just really, truly Anderson and I, and we're next to Univision, who gets much higher ratings. And that's just the way it's been for 10 years, and we accept it. While Ryan Seacrest has her fucking cavalcade of stars behind us. And we actually, it's like in our face. So like, what you don't know is in the commercial breaks, Anderson and I, we watch the ABC show. Like, we just turn around and we go like, oh my God, there's Lady Gaga. And it's very exciting for us to see stars. But one of the things that I like to do is I like to try to steal people from Ryan Seacrest. I haven't stolen Oprah yet, but I'm trying. Anyway, I got to go through Gail. You know how that is. There's a whole chain of command. But anyway, so sure enough, Macklemore walks over, and I hear the CNN person say, I don't know who that is. And then I was like, I do. So Macklemore comes up, and I'm trying to tell Anderson like who Macklemore is. And of course, the only song Anderson knew was the gay one, The One Love. I'm like, he does other shit. All right, so anyway, Macklemore comes over, and the funny thing is I was wearing, and don't hate on me, or you can, I was wearing a real fur, and it was actually a fur from Joan Rivers that Melissa let me wear, and I wanted to Joan had just passed away a couple months earlier. So I didn't know the PETA people would kill me almost as if they were Demi Lovato fans, which is a scarier group than PETA. I'll get there in a minute. Anyway, so Macklemore comes up, and all I could think of was the anti-fur movement. And I did feel guilty. I shouldn't wear fur, but I was trying to pay homage to Joan. It went south. But Macklemore always wears fur. So the whole time we're talking, I'm terrified he's Mr. Foe and I'm Animal Killer. And he won't shut up about the coat. He's like, that's a nice coat. I'm like, it's faux, it's from Forever 21. And I panicked. And so I actually went back when I was writing this book, and I actually looked up the CNN transcript of that night, and it's the most insane conversation, because Anderson's like, what are your resolutions? And I'm like, it's faux. And then I actually went online and I did a ton of research. If you Google Macklemore and, or AOL, Macklemore and fur, what I learned was sometimes he wears real and sometimes he wears faux. And now I know.
And now you know.
But all I could think was like, is Macklemore gonna do a song with me or kill me?
Well, let's take at least 2 or 3 questions from the audience for Kathy. So who's ready? Here we go.
Hey, Kathy.
Hi.
You're hilarious, and I love you.
Thank you. Oh my gosh.
I want to know, do you have like a writing process or superstition or outfit or anything when you write this book?
Okay, so this is not going to be helpful because it's like right out of the 70s. But anyway, I still write my act, and I've done 23 specials, more than any comic, male or female, living or dead. What?
Yes.
You guys, stop it more. Anyway, so, because I have such like a chip on my shoulder about being a chick. I'm always like trying to keep up with the dudes and all that. So anyway, my process is still a fucking notebook. So when I started doing stand-up in the 80s, I went to, Duane Reade, and I got a notebook, and to this day, like, I'm trying to think, like, okay, this is 3 hours. So every show I do, I did 80 cities last year, I'm gonna do 50 this year. Believe it or not, I write down like 1 page of bullet points, and I just go. Like, I wish I had the discipline, like Seinfeld or whatever, to like sit at a computer, write like a perfect hour, no swearing, really funny, doesn't offend anybody, not in a million years. And so I still use a notebook. And so when I wrote this book, I had to work with a ghostwriter. And he would tape our conversations, then he would transcribe them. And that was really long and rambling, as you can see. And then we would like edit it together. So for me, the book was a completely different way of writing. But in my real life, including New Year's Eve, it's just very, very improvisational. But the twisted part is, I have no real life because I'm constantly writing and thinking in my head. So every single thing that happens to me all day or night, I'm constantly like, could this be an act? Could this be funny? Like it's just, now it's like second nature to me. So after all these years of doing it, I'm sort of always writing, but I can't write a joke. Like when people come up to me, they're like, hey, Kathy Lee, tell me a joke. I'm like, ugh. But no, like I can't write a joke to save my life. So I have stories, those sort of jokes in them, but I don't have like that standard like, and here's like a joke. But I have, I weave the jokes in. And that's kind of like the book. Like I said, like some stories are meant to be funny, and the Woody Allen one is supposed to freak you out. And it did. I could tell by your faces. So that's my process. It's kind of all over, but mostly improvisational.
Freaks you out, and then you're like, oh, I gotta keep going for these other freaky stories. When's your next comedy special?
I don't know. I have no
get
deal.
one on the
You know what
books.
Hollywood tells me, besides trying to put me out to pasture. Hollywood, oh yeah, that's all. Last year, all I've heard is your one. Oh yeah, I had one audition where they go like this. They loved you, but they decided to go for pretty. I was like, I guess I'm out. They're like, yeah. Not even close. I was like, okay, thanks, I'll be fine. And then I go to stand up and I feel better. But yeah, I've been told I'm too old, I'm too pretty, it's over for me. And so I would love to do another special. And like I said, after having done 23, what I heard was, well, you've just like done so many. I go, well, so you're gonna punish me for being prolific? So I could do one tomorrow. Like I'm ready to do one tomorrow. I have so much new stuff, and also all the craziness, obviously, that's happening now, which I promise to make it my mission to try to make you laugh through the craziness.
Yay.
That's all I want to do.
You
Just
already
want to
have.
make you laugh. I swear. I get it.
This
I
is
get
like
it.
a therapy session for all of us.
I actually love. I mean, twat has become so vicious on Twitter. So like most of my twats are like everybody else's now. It's all fucking trolling. But like my actual twat, I can't trust her. I can't trust her as far as I can throw her. And so, but I do like it when people tweet and they say, we really need to laugh, and for whatever, it could be a personal reason or, whatever's going on. But truly, like, not to be corny, but that is the one thing I really love doing more than anything is just making people laugh, whether it's just at the dinner table or at Carnegie Hall.
Yeah. Well, you did today. I think I have six-pack abs from laughing.
Oh, my goodness, you're already perfect.
Oh, please. But guys, if you want to laugh, and we all need it, pick up Kathy's book. It comes out on Tuesday.
Can I just brag about this? I got some pretty good reviews already. Would you do the honor of reading the reviews on the back of the book?
Yes, I will. I once said, courage is knowing what not to fear. Apparently, Kathy Griffin took that seriously because she doesn't fear anything. That's from Plato. Who do I have to blow to be included in this book? That's from Susan B. Anthony.
And she's usually not vulgar, but she's just did it.
I don't think I can even speak the language. This is.
I did one in Spanish from Frida Kahlo. I think it has something to do with something like I love one eyebrow, I don't need two. I'm not sure, but it was something
And then the last one is great.
to show I'm artsy.
This book made my gaydar happy. That's Oscar Wilde.
Yeah.
And soon mine will be right at the bottom. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank
Everyone
you.
pick
You
up
guys
the
are
book.
awesome.
So much fun.